Hello, I'm Matthew Rotella, and in this tutorial I'm going to give a brief overview of texture painting and doing a Maya to Mudbox round trip. So Maya to Mudbox back to Maya. And to demonstrate this, I'm going to do it on an egg. To make a basic egg, I'll just make a cube, and then I'll with a subdivision level of 3, I'll just smooth it so that I subdivide it like so. And now to make it all nice and egg-shaped, I'm going to use a deformer. Put a lattice deformer on there, which they're useful for all sorts of things, but in this case it's useful for making an egg. And I'll go to lattice point selection mode and just click and drag here. I mean, you can also basically just do this with the soft select tool, but I like just the simple control that I get with the lattice deformer. Not that the soft select tool isn't simple, but regardless, I have done what I wanted. I'm going to delete the history, which will delete my lattice deformer, and now I'm working with my egg. I'm going to scale it up so it's a little bit more realistically egg-sized. This would be a fairly large egg, I guess. It's like roughly 2 inches across if I scale it to be this size, which is not out of the question of possibility. But in any case, now that I have my egg, I'm going to get it into Mudbox, which I already have open right here. And I'm going to go to File, and there's this good old Send to Mudbox option right here. I'm going to just say Update Current Scene. Could have sent it as a new scene, but whatever. And there's my egg in my Mudbox scene. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint on it. To do that, I'm going to make some paint layers. I'm going to make a new layer, and it's going to be my diffuse channel, and I can call it like egg diff or what have you. And with my paintbrush selected, and I could select from any number of stencils that they got in here. If I were to want my egg to be all sorts of colors, or I can even import my own images by clicking on this little arrow here, and then I would hit Add Stamp, and I can select from any image I would want to use to paint onto my egg. If you're using a Intel graphics card, you might experience some artifacting though, which might be what that is from. That could also just be artifacting because at the edges of your UVs where it's generating your texture map, you may get some odd artifacting there, which these are of course just the default cube UVs but subdivided. And you can make UVs within Mudbox, but it'll cut it into tons of little pieces, which will ultimately make your UVs useful for nothing but using in the texture painting. So you want to generally avoid that at all costs if you have generally decent UVs to start. In any case, I'm not going to get too crazy with my painting here. I'm going to just turn off Use Stamp Image, and I'm going to increase my what is okay. Get my size back down. And what is the problem here? Stamp off. Don't want to use the stamp. I can control my fall off right here. Just paint it white all over. I want my strength to be 100. This is my issue right now. And now I can just go up and down, and the hotkey for increasing or decreasing the brush size is the same as in Photoshop, the braces key. And just go around and paint it all white. And now I'm just going to go around and add some various speckles to it, which I could use certain stamps to help me do such a thing. And I can change my color right here, get some red speckles going on. I don't quite need my strength to be 100 anymore, I'd say, but increase this distance of my stamps, and perhaps more speckles than your average egg would have, but I can also go around, use my paint erase. I'll even okay, never mind. Actually, what I want to do is change this back to white and just paint, change my strength to 100, and I can get a little more variety of my speckles. Regardless, I don't have to go crazy with this. I'll just getting something that looks kind of neat. I guess I'm making like a dinosaur egg or something like that. In any case, now I can also paint my bump texture in here as well, which to do so, I'll make a new layer, and I can even make the resolution of this higher if I want. Make a 4K image, bump map, I can call it egg bump, egg bumpo. Okay, and now I know that this fleshy red one will give me a bump that can give me a nice, I need my strength to be all the way up like that. It can, in order I need it to be up like that, turn my strength down rather a lot. And now I turn my distance back down, and this can get me a nice porous look. To my egg. And I've perhaps gone a bit too heavy with the bump, but that's okay. We can always turn this, we can always reduce our bump strength in Maya. And this, again, this like artifacting you're seeing is happening along the seams of my image, or actually this could just be a graphics card error. Mudbox works much better with NVIDIA graphics card than my Dell, or no, my Intel graphics card that I have built into my Dell here. Regardless, I'll consider it done. Okay. Which, yeah, I'll say file, and I can export these paint layers one at a time if I want, and that way I can make sure that they're whatever file type I want them to be. That'd be PNGs or what have you. Let's see, I'll slap them right into my source images. take a hot sec to export it. Well, this should be Dino diff in my case. Okay. And now if I want this to match up, I need to make sure that I send this file back to, or this model. So I'll go to my selection tool, select my egg, and I need to send this back to Maya, which I can hit update current scene, and it'll want to also, what it'll want to do is it will want you to, once everything has a file name, so like, if I were to give this the egg diff and the egg bump, it'll be satisfied. You can send this back to Maya, and you can set your directory like I did, and it'll send this back into Maya. And if I look at it, it'll have its textures, which I can now build my own. I'm going to make an Arnold shader, AI standard surface, color, file, select what I want from inside my source images, which I got my Dino diff right here, and go to here to my bump mapping, file, and I got my Dino bump right here. And throw on my AI standard surface instead, and I'll likely want to take my bump depth down a decent bit, and let's see. Let's hit render, see what we got. It'll convert your textures to .tx files. And you hit render, which my various artifacting came through, which I wouldn't have had as much of that if I actually just kept my default UVs, but regardless, my egg is there, my egg has its bump map, and it has all the color I wanted it to have. Isn't that about covers that Maya to Mudbox round trip? And ideally you'd have better UV shells to work with before you start painting in Mudbox. And you would want your UV shells to not be stacked if you're using a texture painting program, generally, but you can still work with stacked UV. Regardless, hope you learned, and thanks for watching.